Hey guys, this will be our first video for the class for the year. What I would like for everybody to do, I think all our members are actually enrolled in the class that have paid for. As of this time, we have 11 in the class. There's been a couple more that wanted to join. I don't know if they will or not because we won't get started till January. Really going in January. But what I'd like for everybody to do is a little short video, if you have access to be able to do a live video. Tell us about your shop, how you got started selling, what you sell, a little bit about you, where you live, that kind of thing. And kind of an overview of where you're at now as far as your shops go and what your goal is for the year, to what you're looking to get out of the class. Let me start by telling you a little bit about me. I actually started my business. My daughter was in 7th grade, and she's in her 3rd year of college now. She wanted a Pandora bracelet, and I was not going to pay, $40 for one little charm. That was ridiculous. She was 7th grade. She'd lost it. And I got to looking, for something a little bit cheaper. And I just so happened to come across where I could buy wholesale the charms and the bracelets and get her a bracelet. So I did that. And several of her friends wanted bracelets, and I ended up giving several of the kids from church bracelets that year. And people started wanting to buy from me. So I started buying more charms. So as time went on, it kind of went into a little business, and I was doing home parties with them, and I was able to get the bracelets. I don't know if you can see them or not. The bracelets and the charms. These are just 2 of my bracelets, but I could get a variety of charms that were different than your regular Pandora charms or your troll beads. But there's so many different people don't understand that troll was the actual first one, not Pandora. Pandora's a more well-known brand name because they advertise the heck out of Pandora, and so they all kind of fit the same bracelet. And the charms that I actually had, you may can see them here if I don't dump them out. This is part of what my collection that I have left. I probably have several hundred, 500 or 600 left. But I'm selling out of these now. So if anybody has a bracelet and they want a certain kind of charm, hit me up. I can give you a super deal. But I started getting the charms and getting the sterling silver charm. There's a little Santa Claus one. I don't know how good you can see them. But I could get them wholesale and resell them. So that's where I started. And I developed a little business that was going pretty good with that, because I was selling 15 each or 2 for $25. So you could get 2 for the price of 1. And I've been selling those since she was in 7th grade. So that's been almost 8 years that I was selling those, and did really well with that, and would get invited to go to a lot of local events and stuff because it was something different that nobody had, and people liked them because the price range, and they could get a whole bracelet starter special for $30. The bracelet, 2 charms, 1 or 2 glass beads, and a stopper clip with a sterling silver bracelet, because I was getting everything wholesale. And then I would, sell the, I got a mess over here, I'm sorry. Stuff's falling down. And I did several local parties and things, and it just kept rolling. And for about 2 years after I started doing local events, because somebody talked me into doing that. And as time went on, I wanted to do more personalized charms. People wanting custom charms with names and things like that. And my niece had twins, and someone gave her a necklace that was a stamped necklace, and I'd never seen one before, with their names on it and footprints and their birthday. And I thought, oh, that's neat. And I got to looking into it, and I thought, you know, I found another shop that sold similar charms to mine, and she was doing personalized charms like that. And I was like, you know, I could get the stuff and do this and do the personalized bracelet charms. And so that was my starting point with stamped jewelry, was to do the personalized charms for bracelets. And just that's all I was going to do. And I was actually going to have my niece and my daughter help me do those, because I had other things going on too. And it turned out that my niece just never got into it, and my daughter started helping me stamp. So I started stamping. And with her being in school, she didn't have the kind of time to do it, and I ended up being the main stamper. And then I would get requests for necklaces and stuff, and so the kind of my stamping business just kept growing and growing and growing. And the very first event that we did, my daughter was doing the stamping. We took all my charms and stuff to a local event, because I had another lady that was helping me, and she was selling charms under me as part of my company. And we went to a local event and took the stamping stuff, and my daughter was stamping, and I helped her put the things together, and the other lady took care of the charms. That day we sold $400 worth of stamped jewelry the very first time out. We stamped all day, and I was like, you know, this is really big. So when I started stamping and getting into it, and we kept getting more and more things, and we were doing a few events. Well, we did an event that was a local, little small event at a location in Goldsboro. I'm from Goldsboro, North Carolina. We're actually from Grantham, kind of out in the sticks. And while we were there, this little place called the Brick Village has it was a brick company that sold bricks to build houses and stuff. And inside, the guy had turned this big warehouse into little storefronts that looked like little houses, so you could see what the bricks were going to look like on your house. And he rented out the little storefronts, so they were almost completely empty in this building at the time, and we're looking for renters. Sorry, adjust this a little bit. So we got the opportunity to rent a small storefront location. Well, you know, by this time I've developed a lot of friends from doing events, and there was a lot of local handmade sellers, and that I knew that had a variety of different handmade things, from crocheted items to custom built lighthouses, paper quilt letters, just all kinds of things, polymer clay jewelry, things like that. And we were all at this little event. We're like, God, we should open a store like that, because people are always asking, where can I pick this up local if I can't find you at a sale? So we talked about it, and it ended up we decided to go in together and open this little store, because it was going to cost $500 a month to rent the location. And we figured out if we had a certain number of vendors paying $25 each, we could cover the rent. And we rented our first storefront and called it the Village Gift Box, because it was in the Brick Village. And it was a little gift shop. We stayed there for about a year. And during that year is when I had a customer come in and said, I was doing stamp stuff in the store and just selling the charms. And then we had about 50 other people or so that were selling all kinds of different things in the shop. And I'll post some pictures of our little shop there later. A customer says to me, you should sell these on Etsy. Well, I'd never heard of Etsy. I didn't know what it was. Never had, didn't have a clue. So she's telling me, oh, it's for handmade to sell things like this, and your stuff would sell good on there. There's a lot of people that sell it. And she said, you should post your stuff on there and sell. So I started looking at it, and I said, oh, okay. And I kind of halfway opened a little shop, and it was in the summer, maybe June or July. And I never got anything listed because I was clueless. I didn't know how to list anything. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. Just totally lost. I couldn't figure out how to get my first item up. And I kind of got discouraged because I was like, I don't have a clue where to start. And I didn't do anything with it for a few months. Well, then about September, October, I said, well, I'm gonna try this because I need to be selling more. I don't want to have to go out and do events every week, and because it's a lot of dragging, because it was hard to drag everything out. And I tried to figure out a way that I could do it and you know, make money online. So I did. And sorry, let me try to figure this. Oh, hey, now I can see you and hear you. I hadn't set that up where I could see. But I got on Etsy and got started and just listed a few listings. Well, that was right before Christmas. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm gonna be honest. I had no tag words in there. Didn't even know where the tags were supposed to be put at the bottom of this thing. When I was setting up, never used a tag. Clueless. I just put the titles up and kind of put, you know, what it is, necklace with kids' names on it or something random. And I had about 25 or 30 listings up. And as I made things where people come in the store and requested things and I'd make them, I'd take pictures and post them. And that Christmas, I sold about 30 orders. I started getting sales into November and really got more towards Christmas because other shops were cutting off taking sales the first week of December, and people were looking to buy stuff and nobody was taking orders. And I had no, you know, business, so I got sales. I got lucky. Made a few $100s at Christmas. And I thought, well, okay, if I can do this and I can get where I can make a little bit every month, that would be great. And that'll help, you know, cover part of my expense. I'm paying in this store because I was paying for the internet and all of that kind of stuff. And as it grew, and I had kept seeing things in groups of, you know, you need to get up to 200 listings and things like that. So I made my goal the first year to get up to 200 listings. Well, then I saw something about tags and I get to looking and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be putting tag words down here in the bottom. So I just started putting things in and didn't really have a clue what I was doing. But I tried to fill up my tags, and I wasn't even using all 13. I would use about 10. Put my little description and did it that way, and I got up to 200 listings. And the further I got, when I got to 150, my sales increased on a monthly basis, and I might make a couple, $200 or $300 a month, maybe. And then it kept increasing, and I finally hit the 200, and I think I hit 200 items right before Christmas the next year. So it took me almost a year to get 200 items up. But as I went, my sales increased because the more you get, the better you show. And I was only showing up probably in the one place. I don't even know. So by then, our store had been doing really good. We got a lot of local things. We had, you know, 1,000 Facebook followers on my little shop, and we would do local events in this building, and we ended up expanding, and it came an opportunity to move into a bigger store in the same building, and we could add more vendors because I had so many vendors wanting to come in. We couldn't fit anymore because it was a local store probably an hour and a half from us. It was a similar type store, but it was huge. So we wanted to kind of be in Goldsboro where we could compete. So we moved to it was a tanning salon that had several rooms, and we went in there and moved our shop over there to a bigger shop, and we were able to have over 100 vendors in there, and we had every room, like a pottery room, a room that was just art, a woodworking room, a jewelry room, kids clothing. Let's see, we had pet supplies in one room. You know, each room in there became its own little separate shop. And it grew. And my stamping business online was growing the whole time too. So we had a really good shop, and I had a really nice, you know, I made my office space in my shop, so I wasn't working at home all the time. That Christmas, the store did really, really well. And I also was getting tons of orders online. One of my last listings I posted was the I love you a bushel and a peck necklace. My mom suggested it, or somebody, and I thought, well, yeah, okay, I'll throw that up there. Probably won't sell, but it'll get me to 200. It'll be great. I sold 300 of that one necklace that year because that's such a popular saying. Who knew? I was sick of those things. I was throwing them out the door into the middle of the building at night because I was there working till 12 or 1 o'clock at night to fill Etsy orders. I had a ton of orders that year because I had, improved my listings, had gotten up to 200. I think by that time I had like 225 because I kept adding. Every time I made something new, I'd take more pictures and add it as a listing. Every time I get a custom request, I'd take, make it, take pictures, add it as a listing. So I kept going and kept going. And that Christmas, I made like $5,000 or $6,000 just for Christmas sales. It is also the year that I got a couple of big orders for Christmas that was, 10 and 12 and 13 things or 20 things for groups or, stuff like that. So I was kind of overwhelmed with orders. All of this was by chance because at that point, I did not know what SEO was. I did not know diddly squat. It was just, it happened that what I'm selling is a popular thing. And I was finally got enough listings to be seen enough to get sales. So after Christmas, I get a great big order of bookmarks. I can't remember what month it was, but this company, it was right after Maya Angelou died. And they messaged me and wanted 2 quotes on bookmarks that Maya Angelou had done. First, I thought it was like a church or, some fan group, or I didn't know. Found out it was a real estate company that has offices all over the world. And they were having a big convention in Paris or Italy, somewhere. And they wanted these bookmarks to give the employees that were at this conference. They would leave a little gift in their room every night. When they got back from the meeting, a gift would be on their bed. And this was one of their gifts. So they had 2 quotes, and they wanted, I can't remember if it was 50 or 55 of each quote. So I figured out what it was going to cost for supplies, and I was going to have to cut my own blanks because I didn't have time to have the blanks made in copper. And I figured out what the supply cost everything would be. And my daughter was going to stamp one quote, and I was going to do the other, and we could get this done and get it done pretty quick. And it was close to June because she was going to be gone to camp for a week. So I was factoring in the time frame based on when they needed it. And I ended up with my first $5,000 order. And the lady called me off of Etsy to talk to me about it because, they had some specific other details they wanted. So it was easier to talk in person. And that's when I found out it was this big, huge company. I'm like, God, I probably could charge more for these because it was a lot of work to do those things. And, they wanted it boxed a certain way and other things I had to add the price into. So that was the first time my husband's sitting there listening to me, and I get this $5,000 order. And I'm walking her through how to pay for this order online. And he couldn't believe that I got that many orders for some stamped bookmarks, that much money. So after that, I thought, I really need to get serious with this. So I made a goal from that point on that what was I going to do so that every month I could get more sales online and I could start getting more orders like that and be found better, because the lady said she had a hard time finding somebody that would do these custom bookmarks because there wasn't that many people that was doing bookmarks at the time, and I had done them because of a local request. That's when I started trying to figure out what it was other sellers were doing that were getting seen and getting hundreds and hundreds of sales, all the time. Because at that point, a lot of sellers didn't have their sold listed, hidden. You could see what they were selling. You could see that they sold 15 or 20 and 30 a day. And I'm like, my gosh, I might not even do that in a month. I want to know how they're doing this. So I started studying up on, what it was they were doing I wasn't doing to help improve my shop. And the one thing I discovered, that most of the bigger selling shops that did hand-stamped jewelry was in the title. That was one of the things in the title. I also noticed that they were all using the old, way titles have been done up until recently, with the multiple keywords with commas in there. And I thought, that is the stupidest looking thing I've ever seen in my life. It looks stupid. It doesn't read well. It's dumb looking, but they're getting tons of sales with it. So I decided to try it. And I'm like, okay, I'm noticing a pattern here that they're using hand stamped and custom stamped. And this is wording that all these shops that seem to be making all the money and getting all the sales that are bigger shops, because there were people I knew that were in my stamping group. So this was all things they were using. I said, I'm going to use it too, and I'm going to just do it that way, whether I think it's stupid or not, see what happens. So I started rearranging my titles, and it took me about 6 months to fix all of them, and that's what I did. And my sales started rolling in. I started getting more views, more sales. Everything was great. Hang on a minute, my dog's barking. Make sure it's not a criminal in my yard. You can take a bath. Is that it? I'll be right back. Sorry guys, it was the cat. Anyhow, that year is when my shop really turned around. It's also when our store grew to the point that we decided we needed a bigger location. We wanted to have small storefronts for the people that wanted to come in and work, could come in and work. So we started looking, and because we were paying $1,200 rent where we were, and we wanted to, if we're going to pay that kind of rent, we wanted to be able to do a little more and have a better foot traffic location. So we started looking for a new venue. And we ended up going out of where we were. We had a location we thought we could go into and that would be ready in a few months. So I went home to work. And I ended up working at home for about 6 months because that location fell through. And we kept looking for a new location. And another one dropped in our lap. We were going in for just weekends. And then I ended up taking over that store. And I'm going to be honest, that's another whole story, because that was probably financially a huge mistake for me, because I took on the responsibility of a building that was costing $5,500 a month. And it would have been great, but the foot traffic wasn't there like we thought it was going to be. And we had 120 vendors and it was doing well, but it wasn't doing as good as it should have to continue. Plus my nerves got bad. I broke my foot. I couldn't continue using. The lady that helped me, Deborah, had been with me from the start. Her husband had a brain injury and she had to stop. She had to take care of him because he almost died. And so I was kind of left alone to take care of that shop. And after I broke my foot, I really couldn't do it. And I did it a few more months. And then I finally said, you know what? This is enough. I can't continue to do this. And I gave it back to the guy I had acquired it from, because he got tired of doing it and kind of just gave it to me. And I just took it over and kept enough vendors to pay the rent. So I moved back home about 3 years ago. Once I got to that building, I had done all this keyword research and stuff, and my sales even got better. Mostly my money was being made online, not in that local shop. I don't have as many local customers as I would like to have. I had, but mostly my local customers, yeah, will call me and they end up buying online from my website or going to Etsy and buying. So Etsy was becoming my biggest selling thing. So when I left that shop and came home and we set up my office in my house again, and I really started concentrating on getting my shop straight. I heard about Etsy Rank, got on there and got to looking. I learned about SEO. I learned what it meant. I learned that the things I had been learning on my own were that nobody told you about were the things I needed to be doing all along. Nobody tells you that you need to do your titles a certain way. Nobody tells you you need to use those tag words. Nobody tells you all these things that you really need to know about how to set up a listing or how to make a custom listing from a conversation. Those kinds of things, people don't just tell you when you go on Etsy. And I also found that sometimes other sellers are not going to be very helpful because you might be their competition, so they're not going to help you. I had to learn all of this on my own with a lot of research and a lot of time for myself, how to make my shop successful. And during the time I was in that store, it kept growing and growing, and my business kept growing, and I was getting bigger orders, and everything I was doing to my shop cluelessly was helping. I was randomly figuring out on my own, by looking at other sellers and things that they were using, and then discovering Etsy Rank, how to make my listings better and get seen better. And I was discovering, what worked and what didn't work and what I needed to be doing. And when I finally got on Etsy Rank, after I moved to my house, that was my full-time job then. I had quit dental assisting, before I opened the small little shop. My office closed and the doctor had medical issues, and I said, I'm retiring and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make money from home full time. 27 years I needed to slow down from, working in an office. Sorry. And so I had to focus because my goal was to make as much money a month as what I had made before working in an office full time. So I wanted my Etsy shop to do that for me. So that's when I really, really started focusing on learning these keywords and learning all this stuff. For the past 2 years, I've learned a lot of things about what works and what makes your shop work and how to look at the listings. And people would ask me to help them because I used to do classes in my store to help other people in the store get their Etsy shops going. And so I learned how to critique other shops and tell them, okay, here's what a customer's searching for, and this is what you need to be using in that title because that's what a customer types in. What a lot of sellers don't get is that they don't know how to set the shop up and fill in I didn't know. I needed to fill in all that stuff, the About Me page and the shop policies and all of those things. Nobody tells you all that. You're sitting there not knowing what a clue is if you haven't read the seller handbook, and even then it's hard to figure it out. So I started teaching people how to do all that and how to look at figure out what your item is, where your target word is, and who your customers are, what keywords you need to use. I discovered that if it's not in your title, you don't show up near the front pages as well. You'll be in the middle somewhere. When there were certain searches I wanted to be found in, I figured out when I put it in my title and my tags and my description, this was before I found Etsy Rank, I would show up closer to the front. I also figured out that if it was a search phrase that had 250 pages, I probably needed 200 listings to show up good. Because then I had a shot at having an X1 on every page and getting something to page 1 or page 2, so I showed up better. And the more work I did, the more I would find I might have 2 or 3 listings show up closer to the front. And then I got to where I was showing up on page 1 all the way back. And I might have 3 or 4 listings on a page when I got closer, past 10 pages. I discovered that the more items you have in your shop, the better you show up. And that through trial and error, that if you want to get on page 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or no, those first 10, it needs to be in your titles. It needs to be in your tags, and it needs to be somewhere in your description. If it's in all 3 places, you are more likely to get to the front. When you're looking at shops you're competing against and they have a ton of listings, they're showing up better than you. If you only have 5 listings, you know, some people start out and they let me throw a few things on and see how it goes. That doesn't work. You can put 10 listings up and sit back and go, oh, okay, I'm going to see what I sell. But if you only have 10 and there's 5,000 items in that search, your 10 are lost in the middle or at the end, and you are completely not showing up anywhere. So there are tricks to getting seen to the front of searches that people don't realize, and that people don't just tell you, especially your competition, because they don't want you to get ahead of them. It's a game. But there are certain things, if you do, you will show up closer to the front. And I found that to be true just by doing it. I checked, and I would put things in the titles and tags and whatever, and I would do it, and I'd be shown on page 1. I take those things out of the title and only leave it in the tag. I won't show it on page 1. I was back on page 25. So I found out that there's certain things you need to do in order to reach those front pages. You're not always going to show on page 1 because people sell things every day, and the more they sell, the more they show up, and the higher they might get in front of you. But once you get yourself established and you get your shop relevancy, you're more likely to stay on those pages, and you're more likely to show up on those pages and those searches. So all of these tricks of how to search for titles and keywords that we're going to look at are what helps you get there. The wording. People don't understand Etsy rank, and I've learned a lot about it, and I've learned talking with Anthony, and Debbie's in our group. She's helping Anthony now. What I have learned is that you really got to learn how to use Etsy rank to know what you're looking for, what things matter. All of this, you don't want your stuff competing with one another. Don't use the same keywords. That's BS. It doesn't matter. You want all your listings in your shop in the same searches so you have more shop relevance. That's more important. You're not competing with yourself. The goal is to get one of your items seen at the front. To make a flip, which one you want to get seen. You want to get people in your shop. So it doesn't matter what one it is. As long as it's one of yours that shows up. It doesn't have to be a particular listing. So competing with yourself is not a thing. I don't know who started that. It really never was a thing. I think people thought, yeah, you're competing with yourself to get to page 1. No, you're not. You're helping yourself get to page 1 by making them all show up. There's a lot of misconceptions in that. Just like the whole new thing when Etsy said a short readable title. Everybody jumped on the short train and thought they meant short. Gotta be short. Gotta be short. Let's shorten our titles. No, what you did when you shortened your title was did away half your good keywords, and you lost half the searches you were in, and you just killed yourself. What Etsy meant was short, readable. Readable is the key, making it read better for a customer. Like I always thought the other titles look stupid. Well, now Etsy's saying, let's make it read better for the customer, so when the customer looks at it, they don't think it's crazy looking. Well, the old title still works. I've been getting sales all through Christmas with the old title. I haven't changed 90% of mine. I'm going to be doing that as we go through this class. The thing is, it reading better to a customer when a customer sees it, it just makes it look better. That's the whole thing, is making it read better, is so that the title, you know, when a customer sees it, it looks good. The other thing it does for you is it makes it easier when you make it read more like a sentence to put it in your description. That's probably the most important thing, is making it read better. It makes it easier to put in a sentence. So we're going to learn how to do that. How to take the good keywords that you have used, once we make sure you have found the good ones, and turn it into a sentence so that it can be in your title, in your description, and make sense to a customer that's reading it. Before, I'm still not even really concerned about that too much, because the titles get me, it's the goal of the titles to get you in front of a customer. Half the time they don't read it anyway, but the goal is to get you in front of them. The next thing is to have a great picture that they click on when you're in front of them to get them into your shop. If your picture's not good, they're not going in your shop, because they're going to go, oh, that looks dark, it looks dull, I'm not going to click that. If it's a great picture and it looks pretty, they're going to click it. You can have the worst description in the world. If your picture looks good, they're going to click it, and they might even buy it, even though you could have a 2-line description, because they don't read a lot. If they did, they wouldn't ask stupid questions. So you're going to learn about, how to pick the best wording to get in front of them, how to have your pictures look good so that they will click on it. Number one things, get in front of them, have a good picture so they click on it, then you will get the sale. All of those things are what we're going to go over in this class. But I would, that's a little bit about me. I probably rambled, sorry. But what I would like is for everybody to kind of, tell about yourself in your shop. If you don't have access to live video, or you feel more comfortable typing it in and then show us a few pictures of what you sell. That'll be great too. We're going to go over that. We're going to look at shops. We're going to look at Etsy Rank, how to use Etsy Rank to look for what you need. I'm going to also show you how to look on Etsy to find wording that's going to be good for you in your type items by looking at other sellers that sell the same thing. I'm going to teach you what to look for so that you can do what I've done. I went from having, a few hundred sales to almost 4,000. My goal was to hit 4,000 this year. I like 13 items, having that many. I doubt that I will hit 13 more items between now and the end of the year. So I probably won't make it till the first of the year, but that's okay. I've been close. Because I did have to turn down a few orders because of the wedding, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it all. But I want everybody to be able to double and triple their sales. When I started learning this, my sales doubled. Then they went again. And my shop has really grown in the last 3 years a lot from when I first started. But, just because you don't understand when you get started doesn't mean you can't get there. And even there's certain products that are not going to do as good on Etsy. Simply because people don't think to look on Etsy for them. There's just some things people don't look for on Etsy. They don't realize it's there. I mean, even this year, there were some things I found out that were on there that I had no clue, and Etsy would have been the last place I'd have looked for them. There was somebody in our group that was selling something with boat parts or something. I don't know. I wouldn't have looked for that kind of thing on Etsy. So, it just depends on your item. So we're going to look at that. We're also going to look how to pick the best item, and maybe sometimes what you have in your shop, maybe you need to tweak because it might not be the best thing for selling on Etsy. It might do good at local shops, but it might not do as well on Etsy. So we're going to look at all that, how to make sure you're using the best things in your shop and the best wording. But I'm going to get off so I can do another video for the other group, but I just want to do a short one here and then kind of go over how I got started and things and what we're going to do in the class. But if you will all post your own little videos so that we all can get to know one another. There's only 11 in the class now, and then we can all work together and try to, let's see. I don't know if there's more than one shop that sells the same thing in here or not right now. If it is, that'll make, we can work it, the two shops work together to get where we're going, or if everybody's completely different. But even if everybody's completely different, learning things about each other shop and how the other person does things for their shop will help you learn how to do it for yours too. So post your little video and let's get to know one another. Tell us about you and how you got started. And we're going to get started on the class good, after the first of the year. But we'll do a little preliminary stuff before then. Hope everybody's having a good day. I'm going to get some rest this week over Christmas because I'm still worn out from the wedding. I'm exhausted. because I had worked with Christmas sales. I pulled about 3 or 4 in a row all-nighters where I worked till 5 a.m. and this is the first year I've ever done that. I'd usually stop at 12 or 1, and this year I actually worked till 5 a.m. with Etsy and Amazon. And I'm going to tell y'all about Amazon too, for those that want to try it, and if you may not want to try it. I made money on Amazon, but there's a lot of negatives with that shop, that venue too. So before you jump on the Amazon wagon, I want everybody to be aware of what my year's been. So I'm going to post that in the other group. But I did pull all-nighters, and I'm still exhausted from that. But I did manage to get all my orders out, and I hope they all arrive on time. We'll see. So far, so good. Might be a miracle. But we will get started with that after I make sure everybody kind of gets their little about me videos or their little type ups on there so that we can get going. But y'all have a good weekend. I may not get back again until after Christmas. We'll see. But see y'all later.